Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, and you are listening to Fearless in Devotion, the absolute worst podcast in all of football history. Go get them, guys.
Here they come, our mighty champions, raise your voices.
Coruscant, welcome to Fearless in Devotion special. Right, there was a time when getting a player from Southampton was a big deal for Wrexham. There was also a time when playing a pre-season tour, or even thinking about a pre-season tour of Australia, seemed a bit like a fever dream. Luckily, there's a guy who knows about both these things. He spent 5 years at Wrexham, joining from the Saints, and anyone who's been on the Wrexham Twitter account will know where he lives now. So welcome to the pod, Matt Crowell. Thanks very much. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thanks for inviting me on. Looking forward to it.
Right. There was a tweet that went out, you meeting up with an old LDV Vans pal, Ben Foster. How is he? Has he changed much?
Well, from the brief 3-minute conversation that we had together, to be fair, he's very busy doing some meet and greet stuff with some of the Aussie fans out there. But yeah, it was nice to catch up. I haven't seen Ben probably for over 20 years that year, obviously when we won the LDV Vans. And then from there, obviously, he's had an amazing career afterwards. So yeah, it was nice to catch up briefly. Talked about the time that they had in Australia. I met his podcast friend. Took a few photos and wished each other the best for the night, for the game, and for what's next. So yeah, as I said, it was great to catch up and see him for sure.
When Ben came, it was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? Because it was like he was the third choice keeper from Stoke. Was he the same sort of personality? Because he seems to have become this sort of a bit of a phenomena, really, on YouTube, on his channels. Could you tell that back then?
Obviously, came in really young. I think we were going through a little stage of trying to find a goalkeeper after Dibbs. So I mean, I think Andy Dibble was a great goalkeeper for us. And then when Ben came in, immediately I think everyone was like, Jesus, he's really, really good. Young, obviously come in, but he fitted in really well. I think the group that we had then was really tight, and he fitted straight in. There was some young boys in and around the group, like myself, Mark Jones, Craig Morgan, Sean Pedgick, and we were probably the younger ones of the group. And he kind of fitted straight in. For what I see of him on his podcast and everything, he was not obviously at that level, but he was always engaging. He was, always one of the boys, always, playing cards on the back of the bus on the away trip and being involved in everything. So yeah, he was a personality then, to be fair as well.
Right. So I want to talk about Wrexham Fever Down Under, which is a statement I didn't think anyone would ever really say. Now we'll sort of get to how you got to be living in Australia and things like that later on. But how has it been for you as a ex-Wrexham player? Has it been noticeable that there's been a bit of sort of hype around this trip even?
100%. It's definitely put me back on the map a little bit. Whenever I get in a conversation with anyone about football, and I mention I play for Wrexham, so I play for Wrexham. So I mean, probably 15 years ago, maybe people wouldn't have been, I would have to explain it a little bit more. So like, just from my experience, 100%, it's been massive. The show was, predominantly that people would watch here. Obviously, they wouldn't necessarily follow the lower leagues in the UK. But leading up to the game, and having 40,000 fans there to watch it, I think it was more than the grand final that was here for the local competition. So definitely welcome to Wrexham was seeing Down Under for sure.
It's good. I mean, it's just, we're just like looking at like the newspaper articles that have come back and the TV spots that are featuring sort of Wrexham players before these matches. It's just great that we can go to the other side of the road, the other side of the world even, and have. I'm surprised anyone wanted to go to the match, but 37,042, I think it was.
I know.
Immense attendances, aren't they?
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, like everyone I know was obviously talking about it. A few of my friends went. It's like literally all over social media. But like honestly, it has. Everyone does talk about the show. It's not, and I think it's engaged everybody to follow it a little bit more. Like I think Wrexham probably is, everyone's second team to a degree. They followed the journey of where they come from. I think the show has been fantastic. What it's not only showed, the football side, but obviously the community and how that's engaged with everyone. It's been pretty special to see from afar. Obviously I do follow it. I'm not fully immersed in everything, just with everything else that's going on in life. But definitely, watch seasons of the show, and yeah, people are well aware of it. Obviously,
I want to go back to that picture that got put on the Wrexham Twitter. It's Ben handing you a shirt. Now, I don't know if you read the comments, a couple of things that were said underneath. Matt Crowell is accustomed to receiving something yellow. I don't know what they mean by that, Matt.
That was the first. I met Peter Jones and a few supporters in a pub before the game. Peter asked if I'd come and catch him and say hello to a few people, and that got mentioned a little bit. That was the first thing they said. They mentioned my last red card away to Rotherham and my disciplinary record, if you want to put it. But yeah, that was. I did see that comment. A few people sent me that comment afterwards, which was.
Well, they didn't give you a home kit because that would have been your head, really. But
Yes. But someone said to me, "I reckon you've been sent off 4 times," and I was like, 4 times? I don't think it was 4 times. I said I only got the memory of the last one with Rotherham away, which was I think 14 minutes. I think I was a little bit overexcited that I was playing, and my contract was coming to an end 4 or 5 days after that. So I was trying to make a statement, and it went the wrong way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's happened. That's happened since, to be honest. There was another comment underneath this. Good to see he's finally left Liquid Nightclub.
I tried not to show that to my wife, but she was like, "What?" Yeah, I did see that. 2 people sent me that one too as well. No comment. That's probably the best one to say about that.
I've got listeners.
Is it still called Liquid in LDV?
No, it's called Attic. It's called Attic now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was down for a while, and now it's reopened. Still under the Attic moniker. They're having a country night there. I noticed the other day. I don't think they had those back in the day, did they?
No, I don't. No, not so many country nights back then.
Matt, for listeners who might not, be familiar with you, you're pretty hot property when you were growing up as a player. Were you always much better than those, playing around you as a kid?
Not particularly. I don't like. I was got picked up at Swansea when I was 10. I was there obviously up until I was 15. Got into back home there was like the schoolboys type of thing, and I played a year up, and that kind of gave me a little bit of traction with the national squads. I used to be a striker when I was a young kid, and then when I went to to Southampton from Swansea, I started playing midfield there. I was always involved in the young international squads from under 15s, 16s, 18s, 19s, and 21s. I wouldn't say I was okay. I suppose I was good. I think the most important thing for me was a guy called Malcolm Elias. Sadly he passed away not so long ago. He was instrumental really in my career. He liked something. He was head of recruitment at Swansea and went to Southampton. And he took me with him. And he worked with Dennis Smith at Oxford prior to his time at Swansea. So that was the connection after I got released to Southampton. And that's how I ended up meeting Dennis and coming across to Wrexham. So I think in football, there was definitely lots of better like generally, I felt like they were better players. But I always remember when I was at Swansea, I was probably one of the strongest in my age groups then. But when you went away with Wales, there were boys who were playing for like Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester City, and it was kind of an eye opener. And you're like, okay, so I'm not the best, but it was something that you could see to what you had to do to be better. So having that early exposure to that, and trying to improve to get to that level. Yeah, so like it was a really I had like really good youth career, I suppose. I was lucky enough to captain Wales, etc., coming through the age groups, and then getting that move to Southampton. But like I owe a lot to Malcolm, honest. I think in football, you need a bit of luck, you need someone to like you, do you know what I mean? And he obviously liked me, and he got it right afterwards with Theo Walcott and Gareth Bale and people like that. Do you know what I mean? But no, it was. I had a really good youth career. I was, I'm lucky enough to come to Wrexham and spend 5 years there too. So,
Just touched on a few of the players. Obviously, Southampton have got a really good reputation for bringing youngsters through. Did you ever cross paths with the likes of, say, Walcott or Bale, or was that a bit after your time?
I came across Bale. He came into the Welsh under-21 camp a couple of times when he was like 16, and I always remember his first session. We were in the St David's, I think it was St David's hotel, and there was a barn there, like an indoor venue, and he came across and we played like an 8v8 game, and instantly you could see like, who's this kid, do you know what I mean? And everyone was kind of talking about him. I think he played in our camp, and then he went straight into the national team from that. So I came across him there. I think Adam Lallana, he was closer to my age group, and he had come into a couple of sessions there. A few Aussie boys called Scott McDonald that went on to play for Celtic. He was a year older than me. My best mate, probably in football, Aaron Davis, he was there. Aaron played for Nottingham Forest, Yeovil Town, Exeter, Peterborough. Theo was a little bit before my time, but definitely Bale from the national camps and that. But yeah, it was a conveyor belt of players coming through Southampton after myself. Like, yeah, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. How big was Southampton, as a club? And is it strange now to think that Wrexham are going to be playing them, the first day of the new season?
Yeah, it's pretty, when you see the caliber of teams that they're coming up against now, it's incredible, really. Yeah, like Southampton, it was a big step for myself. It wasn't too far away from home. It was only like 2.5 hours. So it wasn't as if I was a million miles away from family. But yeah, you could no disrespect to Swansea at the time. It wasn't what Swansea is now. Do you know what I mean? Growing up as a kid there, and getting asked to go to a Premier League side, it was an opportunity I suppose I couldn't turn down. So it was a big jump. They were just moving into, they had plans, they were building St. Mary's. The training ground was getting upgraded at the time. So it was definitely a big jump forward for myself. Yeah, a little bit homesick to start off with, but then after that, kind of settled in for a bit, and yeah, loved my time there as well. Still got friends that I speak to. It's nice to see that, it's mad just to see both clubs, how they even come up, and then what Southampton have been able to do too. Obviously, they had a tough spell last year, but obviously they're going to be one of the favourites to jump straight back up after Wrexham.
We'll get on to that. I'd like to know your thoughts on how they do next season. But right, let's talk about your move to Wrexham. So Dennis Smith brings you in. Is it right to say that's your first team dressing room? And was it welcoming? Was it welcoming to a lad who came in with such a trendy haircut?
I have to say, like, I have such fond memories of my first couple of seasons with the club, especially the first year. They were, some really good senior pros to kind of learn off. Obviously, Darren, you had Brian Carey, Dibbs, Dennis Lawrence. Like my first pre-season, we went to the Isle of Man. Was it the Isle of Man tour?
that
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
We went, yeah, coming like I felt like a proper football player. Do you know what I mean? I was youth team football at Southampton, reserve team football, and then you come into like a first team changing room where not to say games didn't count, but it was like like live or die by your results week in week out. Fighting for your spot. But it was like we were a really tight group. I felt like that. I felt that I'd come into a really good environment. Dennis Smith was amazing for myself, spending all that time with him. Love Kevin Russell as well. Do you know what I mean? He was a proper lad. He was hard. One of the boys, obviously had a great career himself too. I was fortunate. I came into a really good group, came in some really good players. I was probably a little bit of a football fan growing up, and Chris Armstrong came in, someone who played in the Premier League, into a little bit of, of awe of some of the people around it, but it was amazing. Like a really good group, honest, generally really, really good.
So you're there for 5 years. There's lots of players that come in and out during that period. Did you ever play with the enigma that is Hector Sam? Because we love talking about Hector on this podcast, and we love people's views on him, because if there's one sort of dream guest, I'd love to track him down on some sort of Trinidadian beach somewhere.
He was everything that probably everyone has said about him. Like amazing character, warm, like he was generally loving. Do you know what I mean? He was part of the group. Incredible ability at times. Do you know what I mean? Like flashes of brilliance. They were really special, the Trinidad boys. Do you know what I mean? They definitely embraced me for sure. Like I speak to Dennis from time to time. Like Dennis kind of looked after me a bit. Early days, do you know what I mean? Like he was someone that I would go to. Like super group of Hector. Yeah, special person for sure. Special.
And another person who might have sort of helped you along a little bit. I mean, what was it like to be in the midfield engine room with Darren Ferguson? Did he give you a bollocking often? Did he sort of take you under his wing? Was there a bit of both, or is he as prickly as character as people think he is?
I think once you get I wouldn't say he's prickly. Do you know what I mean? I got on well with Darren. I felt at that time, like obviously, I think he was maybe, I don't know how the fans felt about, like I thought he was like top player. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely,
yeah,
without a doubt.
Like I'm not just generally saying it. Like he was, though I wouldn't say he was under it, but like I thought he was brilliant to play with. He was someone that, like, my job basically was to try and win the ball and give the ball to him, and he could try and win us a game. Do you know what I mean? Like just with the final pass, or chip in with a goal. I won't call him prickly. I just call him demanding, honest. Like just he just wanted to win. Like demanded everyone in training, like set the standards. So I wouldn't say prickly, but I can see maybe why he could come across. But he was just, a typical old pro that, demanded a lot from everybody at every session, every game. Dragged us out the shit from. Oh, sorry, no, I don't like so big. Dragged us out the shit from time to time. Let you know when you weren't good enough. Like didn't cut any corners. Didn't try like Matt. Matt, you need to be better. Wasn't anybody. Do you know what I mean? So now you knew where you stood with Darren. that was so. But as I said, I think I was fortunate to play with someone like him. Not only him, but like playing in midfield. I spent a lot of whenever I played, he played really. So spent a lot of my time playing with him. He might have liked to play with someone a little bit better, but for me, it was. I was more than happy to have him on my team.
Any other sort of big characters that stand out? People who sort of live long in the memory for you from that period?
Like as I said, like growing up seeing Chris Armstrong, he was amazing that first year when I came in. He was really good with us young boys. looking after people like him. Dennis Lawrence, obviously, as I said. Honestly, with Uncle Lee Jones, I was close with Crystal Welling, Carlos, Paul Edwards, Sean Holmes, Stephen Thomas. All of them. Wouldn't have anything bad to say about any of them. They were a super group, like some really good players. Like a special player, was Mark Jones.
I was going to ask you about.
Wrexham.
Yeah. Do you think Mark fulfilled his potential? Because when he came through, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was so good for us in that midfield.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from anyone, but he had something. Some of the goals he scored. He wouldn't have to touch the ball, and you wouldn't get close to him, right? He'd let the ball roll across his body. No, did he reach his potential? No, but I don't want to take anything away from him. I think, coming a lad from Wrexham playing in the first team, that's pretty special. I think every time you'd speak to him, there was always a lot of interest. He generally just wanted to stay and play for Wrexham. That's all he wanted to do. You remember Jason Kumas?
Yeah.
He had that type of ability. Like, don't want to take it from Jason played. He was amazing, right? But Mark had like off the cuff like ability that some people like could only dream about being able to do. So I was, again playing with Mark and Darren in midfield. Yeah, that was really cool.
Right. Let's talk about which was probably your biggest achievement at Wrexham, which is the LDV Vans Final, which was a great day for all of us. I think the club needed that at that point because there was a lot going on in the background, and we eventually got relegated that season. But that didn't take anything away from what was a great day at Wembley. What were your sort of recollections and memories of Cardiff? And help me out here, because after the game, I don't think I can remember anything. I can remember it being in a nightclub with Mark Curry at about 2 a.m., but that's about it.
Which
really.
nightclub? You remember what nightclub we were?
No.
I
remember him smoking on the dance floor. So good old Mark.
I still think it's like for my career, it's probably the biggest like occasion that I've been in, and obviously to win something as well. Being from South Wales, the National Stadium, playing in front of my family and friends, something obviously that I'm lucky enough to live with forever. Like a special day for all, really. Like I have told this story before, but the day before, when we were traveling down, we were having a five-a-side before we come down, and Juan Dennis made Juan one of the captains, and Crystal Welling and someone else. And obviously you were a little bit anxious. Dennis hadn't named the team yet, and you didn't know whether you were going to play. They were picking teams, and Juan was telling everyone to pick me last. So I was like the last pick in any of them. So I was completely wound up, and we got to the games, and the first time we got the ball, I've absolutely popped Juan. We're on the floor fighting with each other, and everyone's pulling me off. Dennis sends me inside. I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, I might have ruined the best striker that we've had all season. The fans are going to kill me if he's not able to bloody play tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And I remember Dennis coming and go, what's bloody hell wrong with you? I said, I don't know. I'm just obviously a little bit anxious. And he was like, just relax. You're playing tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So like, just settled me down, just instantly ready for tomorrow. But yeah, it was an amazing day. Like as I said, it's the biggest game that I've probably played in. And some of the players that played in that day that went on as well. So yeah, like special memory for sure.
And just fast forwarding it a bit, how did your move to Australia come about?
Was Juan. I was playing in the conference at the time. I had 18 months with Victoria. When I got released from Wrexham, I went straight there. And at the end of the second season, Juan's friend came over from Spain, and he was an agent. And he said, "Oh, listen, would you like an opportunity to maybe try out in America or Australia?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, why not if something come along?" And then literally 2 days later, another agent rang me. He said, "I've got an opportunity to go out and trial for Central Coast Mariners and Newcastle Jets. Do you like to go?" I said, "Yes, 100%." So literally like a week later, I was on a plane out to Australia. I stayed here for 3 weeks, trial for both clubs, and managed to get a contract for a season with Central Coast Mariners and have an opportunity to play in the A-League, which was pretty special. It was the top football league in the country. The exposure across the TV channels at the time. So yeah, it's a beautiful country. Obviously, I was desperate to come back and managed to find my way back out here. Yeah, that was an amazing experience. That group of boys were really great. I was quite fortunate to meet have some good groups along the way in my career. Yeah, so that's how we came to club. Juan, I owe Juan a baby for that as well. I still speak to Juan as well, to be fair.
Oh, brilliant. That's another person we'd love to get on this podcast as well.
You should ask him. I'll tell him. He'll definitely do it. 100%. He'll definitely do it.
Watch this space, and we'd love that. That'd be great. I noticed this question sort of triggered the Sydney manager a bit yesterday. But how would you compare standards between Aussie football and, how close is it to perhaps, where Wrexham are going the Championship? And can we read much into the performances from the tour?
I didn't. I was working the night of the Melbourne game, so I haven't had a chance to watch that. Obviously, I was at the game last night. I thought for long periods, Wrexham were in control of the game. I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old on my lap, so I was doing my best to try and, what I was saying to my wife. I said, I'm going to get asked a lot of questions about the game tomorrow, and I need to try and concentrate on the game. But honestly, like, I was impressed with Wrexham. I'm not genuinely just saying I think they controlled the game. I think probably the final third, and if they could create a few more clear-cut chances, but I think they were in control of large periods of the game. I think it is hard to compare. The A-League in general, like, a lot of the clubs are quite young. They try to get young players coming through to try and survive, to sell players overseas. There are some, obviously a lot of the boys that are the best Aussie boys are playing in the Championship. Obviously Europe is where everyone wants to go and play. If the league could keep those type of players, it would be even stronger. But like, honestly, like, the level's really good. I'm not just saying that. Like, I think it goes unnoticed at times. Obviously the draw for everyone here is Europe. Everyone wants to watch the Champions League. Everyone wants to watch the Premier League, La Liga, all that. The sport in general here, like, it's the number one participated grassroots game. Hugely popular. Like, the area I live in, there's like 24 local clubs, 1,000 registered players from under 5s to over 45s, male, female. Like, such a passion for it. Generally, like, huge. I think it's just, it's quite remote for people to come. So it's like so far for people to relocate. But like, the Aussie boys can really play. Like, generally, like, they have a lot of talent here. I am involved in that type of space with my job, so I do see a lot of it and come across. It's the youth structures are really improving. It's becoming really professional. It's difficult to say. Like, I have friends that have played in the A-League a lot, and we talk a lot about why it hasn't really took off the league. I mean, there's many things that you could say for it, but generally the standard is good. Like, honest, it's very good. I think they can compete the vast majority of teams, and I said if they could keep more of their better players, then they would be highly competitive.
Yeah, my next question probably goes against the grain of that now, but I was going to ask, are there any Aussie players that you think, Wrexham should be taking a look at potentially?
Well, it's a boy who's just gone to Watford. I can't pronounce his Eric Kunde. He went to Bayern. I think that's how you pronounce him. He went to Bayern Munich. I think he's very good. There's a lot of boys in the the national team that Wrexham could definitely look at. There's a couple of boys playing in Holland. There's a couple of boys playing for Central Coast Mariners. Max Ballard, centre midfield player. He was really good when he was here. Yeah, I think I like, as I said, like there's a boy actually who played last night. I played with his dad, Dylan McAllister. He's a young boy that's just come through, 18-year-old boy. He wasn't the one who scored, but he's had an incredible youth career at Sydney FC. Just breaking in now, so it'd be really interesting to see how he does this year. Sydney FC is one of the biggest clubs. They're probably one of the best clubs in their youth development, and how they attract a lot of really good boys. So anybody that breaks through there is a pretty good player. So someone like him, definitely keep an eye on and see how he does this year.
Yeah, I think it's, as much as we focus on the Wrexham element, it's probably good for them as well to play in front of a crowd of that size, 40,000. That's great. And hopefully it draws more people back to, watch Sydney FC as well. Just going back to the sort of the Rob and Ryan takeover, obviously you've been watching things from your side of things. What did you make of that when they initially took over, and did you see it going as well as it has?
I don't think anyone could believe it would go as well as it had like this, but I think straight off the bat you could see that they were genuine. Like there was some real excitement. They seemed serious about it as well. And obviously their backgrounds and what they could bring off the field to give it that exposure. And like you have to say, the recruitment that they've done and had the right people in to bring in the right people at certain levels that could do the job, what was needed to do to take it, it's been incredible. So full credit. Like super exciting to see, like fingers crossed they can do something special again. Certainly got the momentum right now. Maybe add one or two, not to say anything about the group, but do you know what I mean? Anything to add a little bit of extra quality to come in and really give them a good boost this year. But I think everyone would definitely like to see them do well. And why not? Like Swansea did it, Cardiff did it. Let's have another Welsh team to go there and be the first team. When it be the first team to go all the way through, like that, is that true? Like from the conference, League Two, League One.
So Luton did it, but it took them a few years to do it. So we could be the first team to do it in one go. Matt, you sort of mentioned it there, bringing a bit more quality in. Where do you think we need to strengthen? From what you saw last night, we're two kids on your lap, so no one's going to hold you to this. But
obviously they brought in. I haven't seen too much of Ryan Hardy. Yeah, obviously he's come in as a striker. Like he didn't play last night. It would be great to see him. I think if anywhere, like you need to score goals. Yeah, some real quality. Do you know what I mean? Possibly out wide as well. Some type of player, type of quick player that can really cause a little bit of havoc. I think obviously someone of that caliber. I really liked obviously playing midfield. I watched the boys who played in midfield. I enjoyed watching the three boys that played last night. Not to say if you can add some real quality there too, but like obviously they're a really good tight group. A team is more important than the one individual, as they say. Do you know what I mean? And they've kept a lot of the players. I'm sure they'll be pretty pumped. I think a lot of people that they can do it in that comp too. So, I wish them all the best. As I said, I was really impressed. I think Sydney FC scored a little bit of a goal, a run of play in the first half. They had a man down at the time. But yeah, I'm sure they can compete next year.
So apparently, there's rumours that they're bringing in a left-sided defender, Owen Beck from Liverpool, who's in the Welsh youth team age groups, and maybe a guy called Lewis O'Brien from Forest, who did well for Swansea last season. I think they're the rumours. Who knows?
Where did Lewis play?
Centre mid for
Centre mid.
Yeah, he was very highly rated there. I think they liked him. And I think both me and Liam would be pretty made up with those two. I think we probably need maybe an experienced centre half in the middle and maybe a bit more pace up front. So they might look to do something more in the loan market. But I think you're right. What I do think you are right, because our success has been the team and the squad and the togetherness they have. So if you suddenly bring in 7 or 8. You sort of rode that a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, I think at any level, you want to bring in better players, not just for competition. Do you know what I mean? You want, the players you have to fight to get in the team. You have to standards get raised, and as a player, you want the best players possible to help you win as many games as you possibly can. So, as much as everyone there right now wants to stay, but you want to bring in as many good players. But it's important to stick with the group that's done incredibly well as well. Do you know what I mean? They've got them into this situation. As I said, I'm pretty sure they'd love to prove everyone that they can do it too. But adding in 2 or 3 high caliber bit of quality, with the group that they got already, I think that would be superb.
So we always end on a quick fire, and this is during your time at Wrexham. If you could sort of just name the player who sort of comes into your head when we ask these questions, who is the most skillful?
I'll have some Mark Jones.
That's a tough one.
Mark Jones. He'd score unbelievable goals. I'll give Jones it.
Fair enough. Who's the worst dressed?
Chris Owen.
Okay, you got
right. Only because I like Chris.
I could see you going back through your liquid memories there.
Someone that could take if I said he was the worst dressed.
Sorry?
Someone who could take it if I said he was the worst dressed and not be upset. So Chris, I'll say Chris.
Fair enough then. Who's the biggest moaner?
Darren.
Yeah. It's either Darren or another lad called Neil Ashton. They sort of cross. So depending on who we talk to, of the
Brian Carey would be pretty close. Carey would be pretty close, but Darren for sure, in a good way.
Another we'd love to have on the podcast. Right, who is the most underrated player who didn't really get the plaudits? This one always catches people out.
For where he could have gone, I would say Mark Jones. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in the broader spectrum of football, or where he could have ended up. So from that, I would say Mark. God, maybe Jim Whitley. Like, do you know what I mean? He was a bit injured at the time I was coming in. Like, I was fortunate. Like, Jim, huge career, coming in struggling. Like, maybe people didn't see the. I don't know. But he was a wonderful player if he could stay fit, and maybe Jim. But Jim had a top. Jim played in the Premier League, so I don't know about being underrated. But I'd say Mark. I'll go Mark again because of where he could have ended up.
Okay, this one might be a bit easier. Who's the player you'd least like to fight?
Dennis Lawrence.
Okay, ex-army. Yeah.
Yeah, did not. Or Rooster used to do this drill in pre-season where everyone would have a ball, and one person would go out, like literally like under sevens type. You run out and you have to try and get the ball and kick the ball out, and you go for a minute. And the only person you could never ever get the ball off was Dennis Lawrence. Incredibly strong when he looks, but yeah, definitely wouldn't want to wrestle Dennis. Yeah.
I don't know if this is an urban myth, but I'm sure I saw him head the ball out the Majeski Stadium on a Tuesday night. I'm trying to work out if it's something that actually happened, or
if you see it, send it to me too. I'd love to see it too. If that did actually happen.
I mean, we were at the Majeski a couple of months ago, and I was looking at the stands, going, "There's no way anyone could head the ball out of here." But if there's one person who could, it might be 6'7". Then right. Before we let you go, I've just got 2 additional questions. One, why do you think Juan was saying pick you last?
We were really tight, and I was obviously really anxious to be playing. I was like, I'm happy to say I was in and out of the team. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't a constant regular. So obviously, leading up to that, Juan was going to play. Juan, I think he scored like 30 odd goals that season. I mean, he was flying, he was playing, and he was just obviously just trying to wind me up. I probably did get picked last a few times as well, to be fair, in the 5-a-side team. So nothing major neither.
And lastly, and the most importantly, neighbours or home or away?
I was probably neighbours growing up. Yeah, neighbours, definitely. Yeah.
You have to be neighbours.
Yeah, early 90s, it was neighbours. I remember Tyler Minogue, and Brad. And I remember them dating all those. What's his name? The singer.
Yeah.
Jason
Donovan. Yeah.
Jason Donovan. Yeah. So neighbours for sure.
No, fair enough. We've got to the crush the matter. Matt Crowell, thank you so much for joining us. Really enjoyed that.
No problem. Appreciate having me on, guys. All the best for the season. Fingers crossed they have a great year.
Wrexham is